welcome to another program. This week we are going to cover a friction between NATO and Turkey that attracts our attention, especially due to the tension in Mediterranean region shelf between France and Turkey, especially. Now there is a reason behind these frictions. But what we foresee is that these frictions will take place time to time, and within 2020 to 2030, within the decade, we expect that these frictions will increase. And we want to talk about at first the recent event and why then these frictions will increase in the coming decade. So without further delay, let's start. The frictions between Ankara and Paris have been arisen again due to the conflict in the Mediterranean shelf. By, if I'm not wrong, the 2nd of July or 26th of June, a French frigate named Coubert wanted to stop not a Turkish ship, but a foreign ship that was rented by Turkey, which is sailing or was sailing to Libya, Tripoli. And this ship also has been heavily protected by 3 frigates, Turkish Navy frigates. And when the French frigate wanted to stop the Turkish ship, the Turkish Navy have warned the French frigate to not to do so and to move away. And then the French frigate have sailed away. However, this has risen attention within NATO, and so far this has not been solved totally. As you know, Turkey has been opposing a plan that strengthens air defense as well as speeding up the deployment of NATO forces to Baltic countries, including Poland, since November 2019. Last week, Turkey has agreed to lift the sanction or opposition, so now the plan is intact in action. But there is all these frictions between Ankara and Brussels, including Paris, have not been resolved. And there is a reason for that, especially from the French side. Turkey have, in the beginning of June, have captured a base in Libya, the Turkish-backed Libyan forces. Now, according to the intel, Turkey has captured the Javelin anti-tank missiles in that camp. This is a US-made anti-tank, and it is not easily to be deployed, as well as it cannot be easily used. You have to give a special training to these people who is going to use it on site. This is on the shoulder. You have to take the target into the radar. You have to lock it, and then you have to fire or release, let's say, the missile. And that missile goes to the tank. You have to be educated for that. And these were belonging to French, supplied by US. Now, Turkey once have captured these, they have brought into the attention of France because there is an agreed sanction in the UN, which to both sides, no military equipments will be supplied. Now, even though there is a sanction, which is or it was at the first place being respected by the European Union and countries, even including Turkey, UAE, Egypt, Saudi Arabia especially, these 3 have not honored these sanctions, and they have supplied heavily equipment to the Haftar-backed forces. Now, in that return, Turkey, by end of 2019, beginning of 2020, have passed a law to supply military training, including military equipment to Libyan forces. And then the route of the, I will say, the conflict has changed on the behalf of the Libyan National Accord government. And once we or Turkey has been discovering or capturing these kinds of equipments, Then Turkey has been bringing these forward, how it can happen, why you are supplying this, why you are giving education. Because the problem for Turkey is not the Europe, but the Europe is, including the United States, of course, they are closing their eyes to the supply of military equipment from UAE, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia to the Haftar-backed forces. And that becomes unfair then game between these two groups. That's why Turkey decided to step in order to protect its interests in the Mediterranean Sea. And once this interest, now we are also talking, the France is also very much concerned about the increasing Turkish influences in the Mediterranean, especially Eastern Mediterranean. Now, as you know, Turkey is in the northern part of the Syria. They are also in Iraq and now in Libya. Libya becomes two problems for France. First, the Libyan oil revenues reduced too, is still rich in resources. Even though the oil prices are not as high as 5 years ago or 10 years ago, the gas still is considerable valuable asset for or accommodate for these countries, including Turkey. Turkey, maybe you do not know, but has been spending around $50 billion a bill to the energy each year. This mostly goes for the households, including the industries needs. Now, one, it is the concern, Turkey wants to reduce the bill by getting cheaper energy from Libya to Turkey. It might be either by LNG, most likely, or by pipeline, but I don't think so it's feasible. So Turkey's aim is to have companies in Libya with the government of Libyan National Accord government, a joint venture companies, which is going to explore and then sell these gases to the European markets, including the Asian markets. Now, therefore, Turkey's interest is there. Now, for France, it's a really alarming position because once this is happening, Turkey is going to reduce its bill in the energy, which let's say this 50 billion will go to, let's say, 30 billion. This 20 billion is going to make an enormous, I would say, reserve or saving for Turkey, where they can also concentrate on much more technological advancement, investment, or R&D activities, military investments, educational, health, and these kind of things. It's considerable good money, like 20 billion as a cost. Imagining, I'm just saying that's 40% we are reducing the cost. Therefore, this is an alarming position for France. Secondly, it's an alarming position to Egypt, where both France and also, I will say, Paris and London have stakes on it because of the Suez Channel. Suez Channel is not only important as a passage, but also the surroundings of the Suez Channel is very important for Turkey. Why? Because there is a population over there which the El-Sisi, President El-Sisi's government has been using quite, I will say, enormous power, or they project really power against those people. They are either called ISIS or Muslim Brotherhood funds, let's say. But this is a great problem for Egypt because they do not lean to cooperate with the El-Sisi, and they are still acting against the government. Therefore, no reporters are allowed to go to that region yet. Since the Egypt's economy is coming down, and the World Bank's also data has been projecting that, and I have also already mentioned or covered this issue some weeks ago, also last week, 2 weeks ago more. The population in Egypt has been increasing greatly, and if Egypt wants to make a considerable development, they have to go with a 7% GDP increase per annum, which the World Bank suggests it's impossible due to some reasons like democracy, COVID-19, and other things. Maybe they are saying for the next decade it will be 3% in average. That means that Egypt is going to be less and less and less in richness, which means that the public will get less services from the government, which is going to increase the unrest in those regions, because the government will still concentrate capital Cairo and surrounding of the Cairo. So therefore, those regions, the people will show oppositions. They will protest the government likely. Since Turkey has a close relations with the Muslim Brotherhood organization due to President Erdogan's personal connection, this is going to be a scary scenario for Egypt, because Turkey, either this way or that way, whatever you might call it, will get involved in that problem, because Turkey will not stand silent if El-Sisi, President El-Sisi, is going to use force more than supposed to be against those people. Therefore, Egypt is considering to oppose Turkey in Libya, and therefore the French interest also in Egypt, including Libya, is under threat, and therefore France is trying to do something within NATO, but they fail to have this support from the NATO alliances. Therefore, they are going to bring this issue before the EU, which they are going to get, of course, support, especially from Greece, Cyprus, and some other countries. However, when we are looking ahead, Turkey's interest in the Mediterranean region, especially interest in the Eastern Mediterranean region, is going to remain intact. And it's going to only intensify or increase day by day. Therefore, we do not foresee the frictions to be resolved in short time, but they will only get intensified in the coming decade. And I have to also stress this. This is going to get intensified even President Erdogan is going to be in power or not, because the Turkish interest is in the region. It's a bipartisan, I will say a bipartisan approach in Turkey. I don't believe that either you are going to be the opposition party or the administration, they will not be showing reluctance to support the interest in Libya. So especially when the United States is trying to withdraw from the region, where there is a great vacancy in terms of, I will say, filling the vacancy or the power gap, Turkey is going to show all its muscles and necessarily try to also maneuver in policies in order to fill this vacancy as soon as possible. And I have to also intensify that some might consider that Russia, you should not forget the Russia, but the World Bank projections also indicate that Russia is going to lose muscles, I mean financially. Therefore, they are going to be forced to make choices between Ukraine and their interest in the Middle East countries, including Syria and Libya. Therefore, we have been projecting that Russia is not really very much interested with those countries. They want to only take their so-called fair share from these businesses. They only try to make problems for United States to remain in the region so that they will not put all their forces, like the NATO has now agreed with the plan to deploy and to deploy soldiers as soon as possible when there will be a Russian aggression, including the strength air defense system. Russia is scared about that. Therefore, they are going to intensify all these problems within this region. But we will not, at this moment, change our projections about Turkish interest in the East Mediterranean region. And we do believe that we will see the frictions between the NATO alliances and Ankara intensifying day by day or in the coming decade to top level. So that will be all from my side. If you have any questions, please send me your messages. I will try to reply as soon as I can. And also, if you would like to, or if it's the first time that you are watching, please get subscribed to my channel. So, and also press the bell button over there. So once we receive or we publish a new video, you will be notified as soon as it's published. Keep safe, be healthy, and good luck over there. So have a great day. Bye.